About to get started with the next session here in room 1. What's been happening in the end of 10? Presenting a cross-community initiative to bring Linux to Windows users by Bettina Lewis, Carolina Silvia Rode, Dr. Joseph de Valgeis, and Nicole Thiel. And I'm sorry for butchering your names.
Thank you very much. We put on the slides here. It's a preliminary retrospective because the campaign is actually going on beyond today. The official end of support for Windows 10 was 14th of October. It still is, except for Windows Microsoft has made many accommodations to try to keep people who didn't want to update to Windows 11. All of our slides, as always, are online. We're going to start with who we are. Nicole, would you like to present yourself?
I'm Nicole. I've been here last year for the first time, and I've joined the KDE Eco team and worked with Joseph on the campaign, on the Opt Green campaign, which has the End of 10 campaign within it. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Bettina. I'm a retired engineer and teacher based in Berlin. And before I started working for the project in January, I hardly knew anything about Linux and had never heard of KDE before. So it's really special to be here with you all now. And my activities aim to bring Linux to open-minded elderly people in Berlin at different locations. And I started with my neighbors and have built up quite a network. I guess that is why Joseph is calling me a rainmaker.
Have my own. I'm Carolina. I'm also pretty new at everything. I just met Joseph talking about specifically this campaign last year in CCC. And I just approached to see how I could help. And that's really the entire story for me.
And I'm Joseph. And we wanted to do the presentation as a group because the campaign is really conceptualized as a collaborative effort. So it made sense to also have the people who are making that collaborative effort together here on stage. And there are many people who are not here and many other activities happening within the campaign that we're not going to talk about. This is just a sort of general overview of some of the things that are happening. So it's really just the tip of the iceberg. We do have a BOF on Monday at 1 o'clock. Most of us will be there the entire time, and some of us will join a little later. You're welcome to come if you have ideas, if you want to help out with some of the automation of some of the processes for the website. Please come by. We would love to talk with you Monday at 1 in room 2. And we also have an end of 10 install party here on Thursday from 4 until 8. So 4 until 8 at the very end of Academy. We need supporters. If you want to help newbies install Linux, if you want to try to convince newbies to come join, in particular, we're looking for artists, Pythonistas, designers, gamers, as these groups are relevant for the goals. And part of the idea of this install party is that we can get feedback from new users that are directly relevant for the goals that KDE is currently working on. So please invite people if you have channels for any of those people in the target audience. If you want to come and help, please come by. So as Nicole already mentioned, the End of 10 sort of was born out of the Opt Green project, which is a Umweltbundesamt or German Environment Agency funded project that started last year in 2024. In conversations with Nicole and Lydia, we realized that 14th of October 2025 was going to be the end of support of Windows, which is directly relevant for the sustainable use of hardware and the role that software plays, which is what the Opt Green project is about. We also then realized the 14th of October is International E-Waste Day. And KDE's birthday, 29th birthday. So it seemed that things were coming together and we should do something with this. And on the way, I don't know if anyone recognizes whose computer that is. Carl and I were on our way to Ubuntu Summit and coming up with ideas for a campaign that we can do to make people aware that Windows 10 support is ending and Linux is an option. Wrote a BOF proposal at SFSCon in November, had the first BOF, about 10 or 15 people came. Ideas were being generated. Everything was very vague, and we had this idea, what do we want to do with it? And then people proposing this, proposing that. In CCC in December, things really started to come together. There was a really large BOF, I think with like 30 people, and people started raising their hand, I'll do this, I'll do that. One of the people who was there was Kato. Would you like to?
Okay, sure. I was there. I was also, it was the first time I was at CCC. I went with school. I was mostly checking it out. I heard Joseph talk about this, and I thought, okay, I don't know how to help with many things, but I can translate stuff into Spanish, I guess. And I offered to do just that. And then, yeah, like another thing I could do, and I eventually ended up doing, was reach out to people back home in Latin America, which, like, there are quite some communities devoted to these things, and I reached out to them, and I got them to, well, we haven't explained what the campaign exactly does, but I got them to participate in this, and this was very exciting for me to see Latin America heavily represented.
Yeah, I also was at the CCC for my second time, actually. I missed Joseph's talk there, but I watched the video afterwards, and I was really impressed by the environmental impact of all the e-waste due to end of 10. And I felt right away that that was the right project for me. And to me, it was important to save as many computers as I can by repairing them and bringing this topic to affected people of end of 10. Mainly in Berlin.
Oh, sorry. So the first and obvious step was to build a website, so we get visibility. And now I have to read the names, I'll forget otherwise. So the design came up by, or Tobias Bernhard came up with the design. He needs some special...
We put it close to the mouth.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Good. So Tobias, I don't know if he's here. No. He did the design for the website and the implementation. Nico Düsing did that. And the map, Matthias did the map. He's actually here. So the map is not seen there, but you'll see it later. And also the website is translated into, 29 languages already. So thank you very much, KDE translation team. Yeah. Yeah, and then we couldn't have this campaign without the heroes of the campaign, which is the developers who have been, some of them, not all of them, but all of you have developed now for 29 years, as it is KDE's birthday this year. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. And also the people on the ground that help people install Linux wherever they are, or help them if they have problems. So that's also very important to this project campaign.
Thank you. So we thought we'd reflect a little bit about what worked, some of the challenges, and then what's coming next. So the overarching goal was to connect new users with in-person support. Who here has helped someone install Linux that never used it before? And then who here has had to then help them again afterwards? Exactly. So the idea here was let's try to recreate that at scale so that people know they can go somewhere and get someone to help them out. And we wanted to do that in roughly 3 steps. So promote existing local networks. There's already a huge number of people out there doing Linux installs, whether it's Linux user groups or just Linux install parties, crypto parties, etc. Find these networks, bring them together. Second step is do outreach to users, to supporters of the campaign, to get attention, to give the campaign some weight, and the media so that people start to pay attention to what we're doing. And then the third step is building up new support networks. I don't remember who wanted to talk at this slide, but I can say something. Okay, so we already have 300 plus places listed which offer recurring support for new users. We have over 225 one-time events or events that happen occasionally. listed on the website in over 40 countries on every continent. You can see that some areas of the map are much more well represented. If you're watching this video or if you're in the audience and you are in one of those places, please consider getting involved. Let's try to also establish some support networks there as well.
Right. So something that I think really worked very well was to the new volunteers, to people who approached us saying, how can I help? I think we could give them something before even reaching the users. Because there was a lot of people that really wanted to do something and didn't know exactly what. So we gave them like a concrete plan, like you can do this. And this was already quite helpful. Then, of course, we got them in touch with other people who were also looking for something to do. And lastly, we also gave them stuff that they could use or promoted them to make more stuff that the others could do. These are some examples of posters that people created for different events or the campaign in general. I do not remember exactly who made what, but still, there are more of them. There's also a jingle that was broadcast in radio somewhere. There was a lot of stuff, and this, I think, was very positive for the community to engage people who wanted to help and didn't know how. That was, right, this is you again.
So engaging volunteers, also engaging the free software world. One of the ideas behind the campaign was we're going to make the campaign distro neutral. We're going to try to speak as a big FOSS family. I really am happy to see represented in our list of supporting organizations that I think we're at least getting there. We have various distributions, various desktop environments, various organizations that are working on free software and have been working on free software for decades that are listing themselves as supporters of the campaign. I'm especially happy to see that we're also reaching into repair collectives and strengthening the tie that software has for repairing hardware. This is something that I think is quite abstract for many people, but when you start to realize, oh, my hardware won't work because the software has stopped being supported, I can go to a repair cafe, that becomes not abstract and very concrete. Yeah,
this is about local outreach to users. I live in a quite big cooperative apartment complex where about 1,000 people live, and I decided to bring the subject there by first giving a presentation there, and about 30 people joined, and after that, because the interest was very big, so I got good resonance, and I opened up a weekly opening hours where people could come and get, and we do also there some installations, and I also I did organize an install event where we have the next slide, and we see some details. Right. So some photos of the install event. There were about, I was going through, we had a one-to-one support, and I think this is actually quite important. And we helped with doing backups first, and we had I should stick to my notes, but we had finally nine computers switched. We had demo computers, which people just could try what Linux looked like. And if they only use the browser afterwards, they say, it looks like Windows. Surprise. And I think it was very successful. And afterwards, the people came back to this continuous support, because as we heard, you all have the experience that it's not done with just going to an install party and then you never see the people again. And people wouldn't even go there because maybe doing a backup they cannot do. And then afterwards, they want to be sure that afterwards they can come to somebody that helps out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, part of the Opt Green campaign is to make eco-consumers aware that there's another option other than Windows or Apple. And one way of doing this was adding putting ads, that's right, into magazines. And this has been put into Ökotest. The Germans might know this. It's an eco-consumer magazine, which is well known within Germany, and we've had ads in there 2 times now, and in our newsletter, in their newsletter, and so yeah.
So part of the outreach was, for example, from us with ads in consumer-oriented, eco-consumer-oriented publications, but it's also the idea was let's do a distributed approach to this. So getting supporting organizations on board, inviting them to also promote their software, their project in the context of End of 10. And it was, I think, quite successful. We saw, for example, Debian, Zorin OS, KDE from the free software world were all doing their own campaigns within the context of the End of 10. Also had the repair initiative Wundertischreparatur doing their own outreach as a supporting organization of the End of 10. And this gave us a much wider reach than we would have been able to do if we had done it on our own. So we really try to establish this distributed approach. And I would say it's working. There's been a lot of attention being paid in various publications. Here are some examples of some familiar ones like Linux Magazine, Tom's Hardware, PC World, but also in some non-tech oriented publications. This is from Irish Times. Oh, I'm sorry. Please.
Yeah, I was looking for some, because it's one thing that you publish in like Linux magazines, which normal people, you know what I mean, won't read, but I found very important to notice that there are many like mainstream media, like important newspaper in Berlin, like the Tagesspiegel, or broadcasting, the Deutschlandfunk made a broadcast about like alternative apps and Linux, and they even explicitly mentioned the End of 10 campaign. And I was really, I only heard about this because a friend was writing me, will there be more Linux install events? After just listening to the radio broadcast, I changed my mind and I want to change to Linux. So I thought that was really a great broadcast. And also about this too, no, anyway, okay. No, I find it also worth mentioning these 2 guys from Ireland. There was an article in the Irish Times, which is a printed media as well. And for some people, it might be just motivating to support these local guys. They invented Zorin, I have learned, and instead of supporting big tech. And that's part of our campaign too.
So part of the outreach that we're doing is also trying to build up new networks. So these existing networks, we're already doing install parties, we try to get them on board, but we also want to try to bring new people in. And part of that was reaching out to, for example, Anstiftung, which is an organization in Germany for repair cafes. And when we first talked to them in, I think it was February, they were skeptical. They said, we don't see what software has to do with repair cafes. We don't know if our community would be interested in this. We proposed doing a presentation to their community. 180 people from repair cafes around Germany came, listened to a talk about e-waste, a very familiar talk that many of you may have seen, e-waste, energy consumption, in producing new devices, the role that software bloat plays in making devices obsolete that still work, all of these familiar topics. And from that 180 people, many of them were interested in follow-ups. And people within the, the End of 10 campaign, Varut and Herbert volunteered to do a installation webinar. They did a webinar with, I think it was 110 people showed up who were not necessarily familiar with Linux. And as we mentioned, were initially the people behind the organization hesitant to even open up this conversation.
Yeah, we also reached out to the BUND, which is one of the big environmental organizations in Germany. And they operate also a repair cafe. They have a zero waste newsletter. And together with them, we could organize some events. We could do a talk, give a talk there, up there, PC, the first one up there. And we did a workshop at the Reparatur- und Tauschfest. But at the end, the results were a bit didn't meet our expectations. Yeah.
Which brings us to the challenges.
Yeah. Sorry.
So as I said, as Bettina mentioned, I call her the rainmaker. She's really on the ground in Berlin, in touch with everybody she can get in touch with.
Right. Yeah, and this map you see there is from the Netzwerk Reparaturinitiativen, which is a network for all German-speaking countries. And this is showing the repair cafes that are existing in Berlin. And is many, but only one of it is listed on our website. So I did personally reach out to some repair cafes and wanted to support them with doing also Linux installations and help people, but I got, they had many reasons for not offering, and one was actually like, when somebody comes with a broken toaster to the repair cafe, afterwards it's fixed and they can just use it, and with a computer, after you put on a different operating system, it's quite different situation, and they just don't want to handle all these people coming to them and need to explain how to use this and how to do that. They just want to do repairing stuff, and this is quite understandable. Okay, yeah, that is again from my install party, just saying it's the same thing again. I think to address people directly, the personal contact that you know them already is quite important. They would not, so it's necessary to build personal relationships and networks like on the ground. And it could be neighbors, friends, family, or some organizations that they have access to people. And the installation itself is quite a hurdle, so you need help, and these people wouldn't go to a Linux user group or to the C-base or whatever. And actually we also contacted Linux user group, and they are not really keen to go to repair cafes. Okay, next slide. Yeah, next one. Thank you.
Should I maybe say something here? So one of the challenges we have is we're bringing also a lot of people who are outside the FOSS community, from repair cafes, or just people who are excited about the environmental aspects of installing Linux on a device that is losing support. And that brings some learning curve, right? These are new structures for them. The FOSS way of doing things is new and foreign. I think this is going to be the case in any project, but we're seeing some of that in this campaign itself, using, for good reason, unfamiliar communication platforms, things that are new for them, or maybe they don't have or don't use, is a hurdle that is also maybe keeping some people out. And then some of the challenges with building new teams and community. There are many places in the world that don't have the dozens of makerspaces, Linux user groups, and repair cafes like Berlin, where once you go outside of that, you're the only person there that you know of, right? And you have to build a new community out of, from scratch, from the beginning. And there's a lot of gaps in the map, and those might be places, there are, I'm certain, Linux enthusiasts there, but they may not know that other people like them exist, and yeah, that's a challenge. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm also the timekeeper within the timekeeping. One of my challenges was it's a lot to keep people
Close to your mouth.
close to mouth. Okay. it's keeping everybody up to date, everybody who's interested in the campaign, keeping them up to date, the repair cafes, what's going on, where are we now? That's a challenge. The other challenge is to keep them hooked, right? That's generally in the campaign. You have somebody who's interested, and they're interested for having one event or generally interested, but keep them close to you or keep them updated and keep them interested. That's also very hard. And also just answering emails from them and giving them answers, etc., etc. That's also, it's very time-keeping. It sounds silly, but it is difficult with a small team.
It's also not a very instant gratification type thing. Like, some people join the Matrix channel and they expect a revolution next day. And when this doesn't happen, they get disappointed or annoyed, or they like call out people who don't deserve to be called out, and then they leave. And this also has to be managed, because everything takes time. Everything is slow, and when we want to do something in the website, this goes through a lot of people, and when we want something to be translated, this goes through a lot of people. And this, sure, maybe some of this could be faster, but it is what it is at the moment, and people do not like it, especially people who come in fresh, like I did. I also didn't like it at the beginning, and then I said, okay. But this is, I think, one of the biggest challenges is managing how people come in with a lot of energy and they say, yes, let's do this. And then the next day, it's like, oh, but no one's doing exactly what I said we should do, and then they leave. Yeah.
We may not cover all of the remaining 4 slides or so, but I do want to focus on this one. October 14th is coming up. It's KDE's birthday, and it would be beautiful if we could organize a global install party, KDE birthday celebration. So if you are reading this and you're thinking, yeah, that sounds great, then get involved. Organize something. Let's do some outreach to the KDE network. Let's make this a global thing. I think this could be a really fun way to celebrate KDE's 29th birthday. 3 minutes. Okay, great.
Yeah, I would just want to talk a bit about some activities I'm trying to establish in Berlin. The most important for me is to get into the Technikmuseum. I am working there as a volunteer already, and I already made now 2 install events, and I hope that I can establish an event like every 2 weeks or at least once a month where people can go and learn about free and open software. And there was another one, but anyway.
This is an idea that, you know, we are just hit the ground running, and suddenly all these repair cafes, Linux user groups, maker spaces were contacting us, and we've really been focusing on getting them into the website. But now we're getting to a point where I think we're in the second phase and thinking about what can we do. We've built up this really beautiful network of places offering Linux support. Can we take that enthusiasm and bring it back into the developer community? And one idea is writing up guides how to write bug reports, trying to encourage the people on the ground doing the support with people to learn how to identify things that are bugs that can be fixed, and then give those reports back. So we thought this might be an idea of how do we use this network in ways that are beneficial also to the developers that are developing the software. And then another idea is keeping this network alive in various forms. One could be doing like a Linux phone book, but another idea could be doing a follow-up campaign. Intel chip Macs are losing support now, and that's good hardware. Some of it's not very old. It fits perfectly into this campaign of what we're doing with Windows 10 end of support. So maybe doing an iWaste campaign. As a follow-up, and maybe just the last thing, I'll just mention it, that Nicole and I prepared a proposal for another project following the UpGreen one, basically taking the UpGreen project into schools. And we want to try to also think about how we can scale it up in ways using these networks that are being built up right now. So this is something that's in the pipeline, and we hope that it will get funded. So yeah, so I think we have 10 minutes for Q&A. And also just to mention, the UpGreen project in particular is funded by the German Environment Agency. So thank you.
Thank you. I was so ready. I was so ready. Right on time. Yeah, no, you did good. Okay, yeah, so we're going to do Q&A now. If you want to ask these wonderful people a question, raise your hand. I need one of you guys to be a volunteer and be a mic runner and just run over to them with the mic. Thank you.
No, I want you to answer questions. Let me.
Somebody, please. Yeah, right there.
It should work. Just hold it close.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm curious on your, pardon me. What I want to know is what are the major obstacles or the major barriers when empowering people with Linux and transforming them from Windows to Linux? What are the people complaining about or what they're missing?
I mean, actually, in this campaign, it's about end of 10, so they have a computer that has Windows 10 and is not able to be updated. So this is sort of a, they can either throw it away or put Linux on it, or find another way to put Windows 11 on it, but that's not what we promote. So, yeah, so people are, they can at least try, and after they try, I got a lot of positive feedback that are surprised how easy to use it is and how surprisingly fast their computer is afterwards. So, yeah.
I think one thing I've seen is that vendor lock-in is a real issue. People have a piece of software they either need or they think they need, and if it doesn't run on Linux, it just creates a barrier that feels insurmountable. I think that's one that I've seen, and I'm sure there are several others, but that's one that comes to mind. I think there was a question in the internet. If you wanted to follow up on that question, yeah.
Yep. Okay. I wanted to ask because you said that you've been receiving feedback from those groups, from repair cafes and such. Do we kind of collect them somewhere? So do we have a central database of those? I think that would be quite valuable to collect all this feedback so that us as maybe distro developers or people who just want to help can use that feedback.
Yes, so we have done one survey about a week and a half ago, and about, I think, 50 repair cafes in the network replied. It was more general than specific obstacles that they see. It was more about if they've seen an increase in visitors, how many devices that they've upcycled since getting involved with the campaign, and these kinds of questions. But we do have the idea of doing a follow-up survey and asking some more specific questions, and I think it would be even better if we can get to the point where it's an established relationship of them submitting either bug reports or giving some sort of user feedback.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe could something like this work that we would have some website or database where we could add, because I feel like many people have some aversion to submitting bug reports. They don't want to do it because it's too much of a hassle. I used to be like that too, so yeah, so maybe if they can maybe tell those people at the repair cafes or at our endpoints, let's say, and it will be easier to kind of report those problems, and then we could aggregate them in one place. I don't know.
Excellent idea. Thank you.
Okay. We have one question from the internet real quick, and then we'll go you and you. So first, the internet wishes to know, do you have, or did you have an experience where the campaign reached a bigger group of people who weren't already interested in Linux or privacy or tinkering with electronics, but just didn't want to buy a new computer?
I think, actually, this is the first thing I said to Joseph, I think. Like, yes, the whole ecological environment thing is very good and very important, but there's also the financial issue for a lot of people, especially like not to insist so much on this, but back home in Latin America, the buying a new computer is an investment of money that is not easy to make. And it was also important to me that this became part of the campaign. Like okay, you buy a new computer on your terms when you decide to buy a new computer. And so yes, there's many different, I think, approaches to this. Ultimately, some approaches work better with different people. I think here in Germany, the whole environment thing is very effective. But the others, I think, are also very, very important and very useful for us when we talk to people, when we want to convince them. Because you tell them, like, yes, your computer, the one that you have right now, that you've had for 10 years, you can keep it for another 10. Okay, maybe that's pushing it, but still. Like, you can keep it until you decide you no longer want to keep it. That's, I think, also a powerful argument.
When I recently joined, I was quite amazed by the numbers. Quite a few events, quite a few repair cafes, and it's still growing. But at the same time, it still seems small compared to the vast internet and so on. How do you think of these numbers? Are these like good enough? Do we aim for more? Are you like so happy that you have even achieved this much? What do you think about the scale?
So I'm sure other people have something to say. I would just add, I agree. So I would say let's aim bigger, but we also need some support. Come to the BOF on Monday and you can find out how you can help us make some of the processes that are currently implemented a bit more efficient.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, referring to the iceberg image, this is only what we see and what people have told us, that places that are there. And when we start going through the newspapers and get all these notes from local papers where some computer club is offering something, they don't even have heard maybe of the campaign, but they just do this work, bring Linux to the people that want to use it. And so I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, what you see on our website.
Social media, in particular the Fediverse, that there are people now using the end of 10 hashtag that aren't involved directly in any way with the campaign, which is also pretty cool to see, that it's becoming its own thing and has legs beyond ours.
Yeah, because you have mentioned about the recycling of the recent Intel-based Macs, and have you tried to reach out the T2 Linux team? Because the Apple's T2-based Macs and probably some of the T1-based Macs, they are much more closer than the Apple M series Macs rather than the traditional x86 PCs, and not all of the devices were working. As far as I heard in last year's SFSCon, where they gave a presentation on the status of the T2 Linux, and well, if you are serious about the recycling the older Intel, the later generation of the Intel-based Macs, I think that helping their work to provide a full support of the T2-based Mac hardwares will be a great idea.
Excellent suggestion. After the talk, let's repeat the name and I'll write it down, and then maybe we can be in touch with them. Yeah, thank you.
You obviously built the campaign based on the end of Windows 10, but I was just wondering how many even older versions of Windows did you see during your support?
Yeah, I have no idea, the honest answer. It is nice to see, at least here, and I know this is a bubble, in Germany you have like the BSI, which is responsible for digital security, putting out press releases that Windows 10 support is ending. You have news organizations reporting on this. And we really wanted to, when the reporting was coming out, which is around now, to make sure the campaign was visible, at least to some of them. But I don't know how many people know about this. I don't know how many people care about software updates. And that's one of the things, we keep talking about buying a new computer. I'm sure a lot of people will continue using their unsupported computer for much longer. But I don't think that should stop us from trying to do the outreach to make them aware of it, but I don't know how many people we're actually reaching. We're trying our best.
I got a question. Do you find that your campaign is reaching a lot of people we would consider to be highly technical or experts, or is it mostly people we would consider to be sort of more normal people?
I mean, the campaign wants to offer personal support for doing the installation and things even after you need support. So tech-savvy people, they just even if they have not done an installation before, they just watch some YouTube videos and do it by themselves. But this is not the people we reach out to with this campaign. Yeah.
I would support what Bettina is saying. I think most people who are coming to these events are probably not the people who we would consider tech savvy. And it's also nice to see, if you can scroll forward a few slides, to see one more. So for example, doing ads, go back one, doing ads like this, I think is also, if it's not resulting in people coming to an event, it's at least raising awareness about the role that software plays in environmental harm. So it's at least, I think some people might be seeing this. It's really a big magazine. This is, I think, a pretty cool thing that we were able to do because we have this project. And then having 2 slides forward, having one more, these kind of reports coming out, I also think is at least raising awareness. How many of them end up going to an install event? We don't know.
One important note is that Windows 11 is not supported on old hardware. Even though you manage to install Windows 11, there's no guarantee that you will get updates. Microsoft says that this themselves. So this is also an important note to say to people, why? I could just use Windows 11, but there's no guarantee that it will work in like 2 years on the old hardware.
Absolutely. And I think, as the keynote said this morning, we have great marketing team right now with the politics, international politics, and that is also helping people become aware of this dependency, that they're dependent on this company and feeling like they have lost control. And this is a nice story also saying, you can take control back. Totally.
Well, thank you guys very much. This is a great presentation. Good feedback. Cool. And so now we will have a coffee break once again upstairs in the same place you got it from today. Afterwards, we will have one of the more exciting talks, the report of the KDE EV board, the nonprofit that makes this happen. And we'll start that at 15:35. See you guys then.